I'm Megan Twyman, and I'm the Associate Pastor at Broadmoor United Methodist Church in Shreveport. My call to ministry, I started feeling it when I was a kid, which is very strange because no one in my family had went to college or did any sort of ministry like this. We kind of just went to church sporadically at Love Chapel United Methodist Church in Houghton, Louisiana. And so I felt this call to ministry. I felt like I just wanted to serve God in this sort of like priestly role that I pushed off and ignored because I really didn't have any connection to, something like a Louisiana conference or an understanding of what that might mean for my life. And so as I got older, I started experiencing some family members maybe who were more emotionally abusive to me and would say things about me that just weren't true, would give me these adjectives about myself and about my life, things that I had gone through that just weren't true about me. But when you're a kid and you hear these things, you start ascribing them to yourself until one day I remember I was sitting in my car. I was about to get married actually in a few weeks, and I remember very clearly struggling with identity. And I remember almost like an Aldersgate experience, God speaking to me and saying, you are not these things that people tell you about you. You are my child. You are not a bad person. And in fact, I am still calling you into ministry. And so, got married and would go back to church, and Reverend Kelly Byrne was the pastor at Love Chapel United Methodist at the time, and she kept telling me that I had a call to ministry, not knowing I had heard that story that God told me before. And I jokingly and somewhat seriously told her, I'm just not as nice as you are. I can't be a pastor. And then finally I said, okay, God, I will do this if you find a way for me to be able to go to seminary absolutely debt-free. I'm going to need everything paid for, and I'm going to need to be able to continue to teach. I was a teacher at the time, had already graduated from my undergraduate degree, and because I just got married and we're broke as a joke, so I'm going to need you to be able to do that for me. And what do you know, but the Perkins Houston Galveston hybrid program opened up that year. And so that had taken care of being able to teach in Shreveport. And then I received a full scholarship to go to this school. And so something I never intended on doing happened. So that just tells you not to bargain with God. And so I went to Perkins. I enjoyed every minute of it through the Houston Galveston Extension Program. I continued through REM, and here I am. It has been a wild and crazy journey through COVID and disaffiliation and all sorts of things. And I'm a completely different person than I was in that car who was struggling with identity, but the call on my life remained the same. Absolutely. So a story that I will never forget happened when I, very soon after I first was commissioned, and I was the third appointed pastor at Broadmoor UMC in Shreveport. So I didn't have a service that I led. I did all kinds of other ministries there, but I didn't preach, which meant I also didn't do sacrament very often. And so when one of the laity at Broadmoor asked me to come with her to a nursing home to preside over communion for her friend who hadn't received communion in a while, I jumped at the chance because, I wanted to break out my new hymnal and, use my newfound holy hands and do communion with her. But when I arrived, I had found that she was completely nonverbal. So all of these binders that I had put together for everyone that would be in the room that had our communion liturgy, I found I may not be able to use because she couldn't respond back, and I just felt so silly standing there with this liturgy that she wouldn't be able to use. But I decided we're going to do it anyways. Everyone who can speak will speak, and if she wants to participate in whatever way she can, I want to do that for her. And so she's quiet most of the time, clearly, because, she's had this traumatic brain injury. And we get to the point where we say the Lord's Prayer after the liturgy. And so I close my eyes and I bow my head, and we all start saying Our Father to begin the Lord's Prayer. And I hear her voice. and she has started praying the Lord's Prayer. And it was a sacred moment, and it reminded me of the purpose of faith, that this woman had gone to church her entire life, and she had said the Lord's Prayer at least once a month in these United Methodist churches. And when she had no other words to say left, because she was left unable, something triggered in her brain, and she was able to pray this Lord's Prayer with us. She wasn't able to say anything else the rest of communion, but she was grateful to be able to receive the elements. And just hearing that voice was so inspiring for her family and for me doing this first communion. I will absolutely never forget that moment. Well, first, I'm thankful to God, who didn't give up when I kept trying to push away this call through all of the crazy things that have happened in the past few years, where I've continually said, this is not for me, you've got the wrong gal, I just can't do this. And second, to my husband, who has been incredibly supportive. He was a lay speaker at Cotton Valley United Methodist when we were in college. And I said, well, I don't have to be a pastor because he already is one. And he looked at me, I remember in a Wendy's one day, and said, you got it wrong. I mean, you're the one that's supposed to keep going and doing this. And so he has cheered me on every step of the way. And of course, I want to thank everyone who helped to raise me at Love Chapel United Methodist, for all of those pastors who've continued to encourage me and even taken me seriously in my ideas as a 26-year-old elder. I know that's difficult, and I just appreciate every word of wisdom and hope to continue to receive them.